What if this never happened? What if Overwatch has a plan to relaunch Overwatch Classic but take it in a different direction? What if their plan is to give us a World of Warcraft Classic version of Overwatch, in which what is the world like if Anna was never launched? What happens if they take everything they have learned from running Overwatch 1 up until today and then applied that to Overwatch 1 before they made changes? We probably wouldn't get Brig, but what could we get? Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Overwatch is teasing Overwatch Classic, and I think we need to talk about what this could mean for the game. Let's break it down. This trailer is going to go live. Now, this trailer, if you're watching the video today, is going to go live tomorrow. So it will go live November the 11th at 5 p.m. That's BST, because obviously I'm in Britain. And yeah, we believe this is going to be a teaser for Overwatch Classic. Now, what do we know before we get into this video and break everything down? We do know that there is a 6v6 test sort of event happening next season in Overwatch 2. So it does beg the question that this video probably won't be a full-blown launch of a classic mode or a 6v6 mode, but it might be something which is leading up to actually, you know, it's an introduction trailer effectively to Overwatch Classic, and that will be coming at some point in the future. It could also just be a mobile phone game, and if it is, in which case, oh dear me. But anyway, let's move on from that. There were a series of tweets that were put out on the 10-year anniversary of Overwatch, which has happened literally the other day. Now, these tweets came in from the Overwatch account, and effectively they were just like bringing up the best moments from each year of the game. Although very conveniently missing out heroes and all kinds of major events. It was not great. I don't know what they were trying to achieve with that. They should have done like a breakdown of everything that happened in every single year and put some effort into it, but they didn't. Anyway, we don't care about that, and I'm not going to show it in this video because it was kind of boring. What I want to show you is this. This is from Facebook, believe it or not, and the Overwatch account says, "Can't stop watching Winston's video message to the former agents of Overwatch. Must have seen it like 100 times now." Now, this is a completely, totally blatant, you know, hey, go and look at those heroes, which we will do in a second. But also, you can see from this, Overwatch has changed the icon on all of its social media, or the avatar, whatever you want to call that, to the old Tracer model from Overwatch 1. Again, indicating that, yeah, something is going on here. So this is the Recall cinematic. This cinematic is... Do I actually want to say how old this is? Because it makes me feel old. It's 8 years ago this cinematic came out, essentially with the launch of Overwatch in its first form. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of questions here with a classic version of Overwatch. What will the monetization look like? Will loot boxes return? Will it have like a completely different monetization system? Will it be you buy expansions to it? Who really knows? Also, do Blizzard actually have the dev team to do this? You know, would they need a new dev team? Will the engine work for this? You can maybe say the 6v6 test is essentially some sort of technology test to see if they can actually pull that off in the new engine, because I'm sure the new engine is better than the old engine, especially for devs to work with. But let's just take a look at this, because this is what they were alluding to in the post. I was going to say the tweet, but it was a post on Facebook. Let's take a look at these heroes. So we think this is Freak. Now, calling him Freak isn't accurate. Freaks is a group, and I don't think he is called Freak. Maybe called Hazmat or something along those lines, because we think he might have some sort of chemical abilities. But yeah, this is probably the new tank hero, or at least concept art for him from years and years ago. But there's loads of concept art here. There's this. I think this was an older version of Reinhardt. Now, again, this video is just got a bunch of concept art thrown in there. You will see heroes like Sojourn that pop up in this section. But it does beg the question, doesn't it? Imagine if, and I think that was Echo or an early Echo design. Imagine if Anna was not launched and you go back to Overwatch 1 before any new heroes were added, and then you start picking heroes and adding them. Imagine if, I think this guy is probably an early version of Pharah, so let's maybe not use him. But when another one pops up, we can maybe jump onto that one and say, imagine if this hero that's about to appear now, boom, which kind of looks like Reinhardt, but whatever. Imagine if this was the first hero and it wasn't Anna. How does the game look like then? What world of Overwatch will we be playing in then? But the bigger question is, would the game actually be able to sustain this? There's Sojourn as well. You can see like a much more detailed like bit of concept art there, which kind of indicates that these heroes were, or the ideas for these heroes were a bit further along. And remember, this is 8 years ago. So some of these concept arts are actually way older than that, maybe 10, 12, 13 years before that. Maybe this guy could be something. Like, what happens if he launched instead of Anna? It is a very interesting thought, this is. And I think it would spice up Overwatch Classic, which I'm going to be calling this from now on, into a kind of different what-if world, instead of just giving us what we had before. Because you've got to remember, with Overwatch, like you think about GOATS meta, you think about all the other issues that Overwatch had over the years. A lot of them did kind of come down to slow balance. A lot of them came down to bad balance decisions. But what if the devs could go back now and balance faster and balance with everything they know now? It would be a completely different story, and it would also be an engaging story, an evolving story, something for us as players to actually get behind and enjoy and play, instead of, which I think this is probably the major worry for a lot of developers when they do this kind of thing, where they're like, hey, we're just going to bring back the old game. Players play it for a week and then just don't come back. It's like, it's not worth the effort on their part, and it's also not really worth the effort on the players' part. You get to see how things used to be. Maybe there's some slight quality of life changes there, but then after that, it just becomes like, oh, well, I've played this before, and I know it's not going to be updated. Whereas if they go down the path of World of Warcraft Classic, and they start giving us, I think it's called Seasons of Discovery, right? I don't play WoW, guys, so I apologize if I get some of these terms wrong, but they basically change the game in different ways. So the story doesn't evolve the way you would expect it to evolve, and I think they've actually committed to making new expansions now for World of Warcraft Classic after they've gone through whatever expansion they're on now. So all that's really interesting. But for me, as an Overwatch player, let's say a classic Overwatch mega enjoyer, holy shit, give me that. I think that would be incredible. The gameplay footage in the back of this video is from the 5v5 test, which is taking place at the moment. It is the Limit 2 test, where you can basically play 2 of 1 hero type. So generally this ends up with 2 tanks being played, because everyone wants to play double tank, because they remember how great that was back in the day. Now, this mode isn't balanced, and the devs haven't even tried to balance this. It's just open queue rule set, and you've just got, you can just carry on with whatever. None of the abilities have been changed. Now, this is really fun, because it brought back that feeling of working together with your other tank player. And now, I don't know whether this will be as pronounced for players that didn't predominantly play tank, but for me, this was like unlocking a past memory that was a really good memory. Now, I know, guys, Overwatch 1 had all of its problems with balance, with shield meta, with, like, just overbearing tanks, with, people throwing the game if they weren't picking the right hero, didn't have the correct tank synergy. There was tons of issues, right? Yeah, and obviously just ultimately ended up with everyone playing GOATs, and that was just the meta, and it was stupidly stale, super stale, I guess you could say. And it was not great, and it was, a lot of lessons were learned there, which, like I said, I hope the devs learn those lessons, and they have been learned, and they're going to get applied to potentially what this Classic vision could be. At least this is how I would approach Classic. Now, I've got to say, yeah, it was awesome playing with a double tank again, with having a tank partner. It made me remember how Overwatch is a special game when you've got layers of complexity, layers of skill and strategy and tactics on top of the shooter element. And they've gone in one direction with Overwatch 2 and just turned it into like a shooter game. But the issue with Overwatch 2 is I'm not too fussed with that. It's just everything is about skins, and I frigging hate that. Me as a gamer, all right, and this might be my age, and maybe there's other people that agree with this out there. I will give you money, Blizzard, for new content. I will not give you money for skin after skin after skin. I will give you money if you say, here is a new bulk of content, maybe it's an expansion, maybe it's whatever. I will pay for that because I want to see new content. I will support a game that way. I guess when it comes to monetization, this is another thing which we could talk about forever and ever. How would you monetize an Overwatch Classic? Would you bring back loot boxes? Probably not. Now, loot boxes have got legal constraints in various areas of the world, so there's no way they can really bring them back feasibly. Will they support it with a battle pass like they have in Overwatch 2? I don't know. Does the Overwatch 2 Battle Pass, does the Overwatch 2 monetization make enough to fund supplementary development of essentially a new game? Again, I don't know. So these questions are all like, would you pay for an Overwatch Classic experience? I would. If they said to me, you can pay for the game, and we're going to develop this in a completely new way, there's going to be new heroes, it's essentially its own standalone game. This is the key thing here. I would pay for it, right? I'd give them $40 again, because that, to me, is definitely worth a lot more than a $40 Kiriko skin. But again, this is the issue. they can pump out skins for $40. Making a skin is a lot easier than having an entire development team, which then works on a different version of your game. Yeah, so you can see where all of this, it is wishful thinking on my part, but they are definitely teasing an Overwatch Classic, and I think it is very interesting to look at ways they could make that work. And when I put myself in their shoes and I think, how could I make this work if I had their resources and I wanted to recapture that old audience? Because be under no illusions here, guys, millions of people stepped away from this game when it was changed. They were like, no, we suddenly can't play with our friends groups, because obviously there were 6 players before, now there's only 5. The game's changed in a lot of different ways. Suddenly it's become this like heavily monetized game, and maybe you're not a fan of that. Maybe you're not a fan of the way the balance went. And I think Overwatch did lose a lot of its identity, but we always come back to that thing with Overwatch. The thing that has kept Overwatch in the limelight, it isn't its gameplay, it isn't any of that, it's the characters, it's the heroes. And all they have done over the years since Overwatch 2 launch is hyper aggressively monetize the people's, like, how can I phrase this, like people's connection, I think is a really good word, to the heroes, and to just drain as much money out of them as possible. If you are a big fan of a Junkrat, you might buy Junkrat skins all the time they show up because you want to support that hero. To me, and this must be the case for the devs, they must want to create, they must want to build new things. We know we're not getting PvE, so how can you channel that creative energy? Do you just keep adding to Overwatch 2? Where is the spark? This again is something I spoke about in a lot of videos. Where is that moment of, this is all eyes on Overwatch again, and people are coming back to the game, they're going to give it a chance, they're going to try the game out? Is that even possible with Overwatch 2? Well, I'm telling you this, guys, and I'm going to be real. Overwatch 2 had a launch, which was, you know, wow, this is just Overwatch 1.5, and then it had its PvE launch, which was a complete failure, and then subsequently got cancelled. So we're just back to square one with Overwatch 2. But what happens if we go back to square one with Overwatch? What happens if Anna doesn't launch? What happens if, okay, maybe Anna launches, but the next hero doesn't launch? Because I really like Anna. I would not launch Anna. That would be bad. But it's just, it's posturing the question, right? What could be? What could be with everything they know now? There are also some technical issues with this as well. I'm sure what Overwatch 1 was might not potentially work in the Overwatch 2 engine. Would they run the Overwatch 1 engine? I doubt that. That's probably been deleted. The Overwatch 2 engine, can they make it work? Can they make it feel like Overwatch 1 used to feel? There's a lot of questions here, guys, but questions will probably be answered when this trailer comes out and we get to see what Blizzard is cooking. But there are some fundamentals here, as I say. A very quick recap. We know a 6v6 test is coming next season. Could that be leading up to the launch of an Overwatch Classic? Would an Overwatch Classic be a standalone client, its own game? I'd really love it if it was. Will it just be an arcade game mode? Probably. Could this be a mobile game? Hopefully not. But we know a mobile game is in development, actually. But if this is the announcement of like mobile Overwatch Classic, I'll just throw my phone away. I'll be like, oh god, please no, it can't be. It actually can't be. So yeah, and also the monetization question, and also the question of would you play it? Very interesting, isn't it, guys? All right, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. But I do believe Overwatch Classic is real, and it is a very, very strong possibility. Just depends what they do with it, and it depends if they have got the manpower, the personnel to actually develop something like that. Because if you were going to add new heroes into what Overwatch was, and you didn't get Anna, you just got totally different heroes, and those heroes were taken effectively from the Recall short, which I guess you can put 2 and 2 together and say that's what they were trying to say on Facebook. Who really knows? Again, of course, this could just be, hey, there's a new hero trial coming and it's going to happen in a few weeks. And yeah, this is a cool recap of Overwatch over 10 years in the form of a video with a little arcade game mode. Oh dear. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and let me know what your wild Overwatch Classic speculation could possibly be. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. See you soon.